Good evening. Welcome to Options Center. We are going to go through a complimentary video for yesterday's video. So if you haven't watched that yet, I'll go ahead and pin it up top. You can check it out. It's going to complement what we did with checking out the big tech stocks. And then we'll show what we were looking at yesterday, but we're going to do the daily time frame today on all of those individual stocks. And then we'll finish off with SPY and QQQ. At the end, we'll do SPY on the 65-minute, show you what the pathway that I'm looking for, and also check out the VIX as well. So again, today's video really complements yesterday's. So this is kind of like a timeline. We're going to constantly update you. So if you're new here, go down to that bottom right hand corner, hit that subscribe button, the Options Center logo, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to like the video. It helps us continue put this content out. So if you want to help in any further ways, you can go to the description, and there's plenty of ways to help out. Okay. When we get to 500 subscribers, we'll start doing some live sessions. So we'll be looking to do some live sessions, maybe some live trades, things like that. So I'll actually show you a trade today that I just did a few minutes ago. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start off with Apple. Apple on the daily time frame. We'll throw on... We'll use the Keltner channels. That's a very important part of why we're looking for a reversal. We're outside of the Keltner channels. Came back to the bottom of the channel. Kind of rejected a little bit off of there today for Apple. But a nice indecision candle. Possible reversal. We need some follow through. We have the reversal on SPY and QQQ yesterday. But we're just now getting the possible reversal candle on Apple. We just need to see some follow through tomorrow. So the main theme of what we're looking for is how high are we going to bounce? We got this reversal. How high can we bounce? Now, I think we're going to get a little bit higher bounce. Short squeeze, whatever you want to call it, dead cat bounce, than we thought previously, because the position that all of these stocks that I'm getting ready to show you, and in the other video as well, I think we have to have a little bit more significant bounce because of these stocks that are setting up in such a way, and they're just now getting started. If we get this reversal here, we're just getting started on a reversal. So the main... Okay, sorry, my phone was ringing. I had to answer that. So we're looking at the Keltner channels. We're coming outside of it. We're looking at all these setups. There's two different style of setups that are going on here. And in the market, there's some leaders and there's some laggers to where, like Apple, already had the initial move down, a retrace, another move down, which we think this is a 5-wave move, and this being a wave 4, because you couldn't tell what's going on in here. It looked like 3 waves, 4 and a 5. So we want to, at minimum, a 1-2, 1-2 setup, maybe retracing just back here to the moving average or to the top of the Keltner. Typically, when you're in a trend, similar to... And Apple loves to trend, boy. It likes to retrace back to the moving average at most there, and then trends off of that. So that's one way to look at it. We can check out some moving averages. Not quite to the 200. You see that 8 EMA is trending to the downside. We are just underneath the 200 exponential moving average, so that's given us a little bit of trouble, but we get back on top of that we can use that as support if we get this confirmation candle. Amazon. So Amazon, same thing. We put the Keltner channels on. Got way outside of it. Just extreme outside of it. We have to revert to the mean, which probably means something, it could just come to the channel bottom here, but it's just more likely that we get, that we try to test this moving average. We had our tweezer bottom here. Now we need confirmation of a close above. We need to close above these two candles. Preferably at least the close. At least the close, preferably above this indecision candle here. With the MAs, you have we're underneath most of them, not even close to the 200. Getting close to that 200 exponential here. So just observing. Just observing at this point. Meta. Meta is still holding. It's probably our most bullish play here. By the way, we are in Apple calls, Amazon, Meta, not Google. We took off the calls there. Microsoft, Tesla, NVDA. So this one seems to be the most bullish. It's holding the 50 exponential moving average and also this 20 and 8. They're all moving sideways, so we can sort of let's go ahead and check out the other MAs. Very similar. So we can actually start drawing. This looks more like a situation that that SPY and QQQ went through already. So if we can get above this triangle type pattern, this thing can go either to new highs or it could go to that 786 that we talked about in the other video. Again, we have a little bit more detailed 65-minute charts on the last video I did, so you can check that out. Or if this decides that it's done at the top of this downtrend line from the triangle, then it can move lower. So a lot of things that can happen. I do think it's going to break out. It seems to be the bullish of all of them, and it can go to new highs, or maybe it just kind of gives us a double top type action. Keltner channels are a little bit different, and you notice they're even kind of facing up a little bit. So we could come to the top of this channel, which would be near that 786. Maybe we spike into the 786, and then we retrace. Depends on what the market. We have to look at all these different scenarios and all these different stocks at the same time while making decisions on our overall market analysis. But for the most part, it's moving sideways because this is triangulating right now. The overall market, SPY and QQQ, was just doing this triangle action, and you saw what happened. It made it to the top of the triangle, and it broke down. So, this could be the same situation. Going to Google. Google is that other situation that I was talking about where, very similar to Amazon, we had just the initial spike while the market and other stocks were going down during this area. I need to take this off here. This is just now making its first impulse move. Now it's getting its retracement, and we're coming back underneath that Keltner channel. We're coming back to revert to the mean. So Google, I think, is ahead of most of the others. Meta is just a whole nother story, but is ahead of most of the other stocks retracing. So I'm not sure that this is going to make new highs. I just think this is an impulsive wave 1 to begin the downtrend, and we're retracing for a wave 2. It could go back to the 50-60% retracement. So we'll keep an eye on that. Some moving averages. Let's coming into the 20 and the 8 EMA. So it's going to clearly give us some trouble here. We could gap over it tomorrow, or we can get a little bit of a retracement and start heading up. Possibly the market is similarly doing the same thing, where maybe this first initial A, we come back or consolidate for a little bit, and then we for a B, and then we have a final move up for retracement before heading lower. So while we're looking at all these, I want you to keep in mind that very similar with the regular moving averages. So keep in mind that if the market was more bearish and was going to reverse back to the downside anytime soon, then these generals of the stock market wouldn't be so low. I don't think we're going to head lower from here. I think we need a little bit of a retracement, maybe two days or so at least. Now we get this tweezer bottom here, or maybe even a cluster for reversal here, forming a bottom on Microsoft. And so again, it's like it has some room to move, and so that therefore the market has some room to move to the upside. And we'll get to SPY and QQQ. So this one is that first situation similar to Apple, to where and I'll add in that most people are looking for these to come to make new highs. So this is a ABC for the bulls, and we're going to make new highs. For the bears, we're looking at this initial wave 1 retracement and the beginning of this wave 3. So it'd be a 1. We get a pullback for wave 2. It doesn't have to be to the 62% because we're getting a little bit weaker, but we still have a little bit more room to break to the upside. And so that's going to move the market. Tesla. Well, let me finish with Microsoft. We have the Keltner channels. So we got underneath those Keltner channels, and we have to revert to the mean. So we're going to come back and probably test that moving average, which just happened to coincide with all of the 50 simple and the 100 simple there. So again, we have plenty of room to run to the upside. And looking at the EMAs, same thing. Have some room to run up to this 20 and the 50. Get Tesla in action here. And with Tesla is, I guess, more similar to, well, if we're gonna draw the triangle here, very similar to Meta, in the sense that I think Meta honestly has the potential to move to new highs. I don't think Tesla does. So I think Tesla is more or less setting up. It's possible, right? But I think Tesla's looking for that initial move down, a deep retracement, and now a 1-2. So a 1-2-1-2, very similar to Apple and the market. And so I think it has a couple more days to move to the upside to retrace before heading down. Now, it could come all the way up to the triangle. Very similar to Meta. I get it. But Meta seems to be in a little bit more bullish stance where it can make a break out of that triangle. We'll see. We're not going to overstay our welcome. We're going to take profits well before any of those decisions are made. And again, I'm moving ahead of myself. But I want to show you the Keltner channels. This one is a little bit more sideways. Still, holding on the bottom of the channel, just kind of moving sideways. So it's a little bit different. It's not as bearish, but I tell you, Tesla, I'm looking at my chops. because I want this one to retrace, and I think Tesla's just gonna crash. It's gonna lead this crash to the downside, very similar to when it moved up like this. It never even looked back. You know, it tested the upper bounds, never retraced until basically 1 or 2 times. But during that wave 3 of 3, my God, just ripped. And I think Tesla has potential to do the same thing to the downside. The moving averages. So it could be retesting that 20. I think that's a good spot to look for. It's also a gap area. The EMAs, very similar. A cluster up here. EMAs are a little bit lower. And then NVIDIA, and then we'll get to SPY and QQQ. So stick around for just a little bit. Don't forget to like the video, and we'll give us our path, because every day the market gives us information, so we have to use that information in order to make our decisions. So, you know, this big old gap right here, I'm just dying again for NVIDIA to make its move retracement so we can start heading lower faster. I mean, these things like the trend, NVIDIA and Tesla are on my radar. So what we have here is a possible head and shoulder pattern if we get a nice enough retracement. Now, I know this looks bear flaggish. It's barely making a move, but with the market and all the other stocks, you know, heading upward, I think it might be very similar to this. You see how it kind of forms a flag, but eventually just bursts out. I think we have that kind of potential happening here. It could retest the gap area. Using the Keltner channel, broke down underneath it, still sort of sideways. You know, you can see that price action really hasn't moved a whole bunch. The volatility is crazy, but essentially it's just sideways. And I think this one, it could come up to say, I think we're going to try to test the top of this. I think this one's going to come a little bit further. If not, you know, take profit when you can, because even our setup, and you can look at some of my YouTube shorts that I put out there for the NVIDIA setup, we're going to get out at 445. Okay, that's where our target is. That's where we're going to get out of our trade. We might leave a runner or so to move a little bit higher to test the top of this Keltner channel. But the 445, there's other confluence there. And that's the reason why I chose that target, to be a little bit more conservative, to make sure that we get our trade in and out. We have the exponential kind of sandwiching in between. You see them coming together, just like the other ones, coming together for a big move. I think we're setting up for a bear move to the downside. Now we're riding that 100 simple moving average, and we're squeezing in between the 8. So I think we'll pop out of from the 8 and start testing. Look at that, the 445 area where the 20 simple and the 50 simple are sitting. Okay, so as for SPY, we have the breakdown of that triangle, very similar to what Tesla and Meta look like, and we ended up testing the top of the triangle and breaking down. That's all possible. It can follow that. They look identical. All right. Now with SPY, we had our reversal candle, a hammer candle yesterday, and then we had follow through today. So that was a nice follow through. And some of these tech stocks are just now, joining in. So we think we're probably going to come a little bit higher on this bounce than we think. We're going to play it as if a little bit more conservative, start taking profit and start using put protection. We did today, as a matter of fact, because we had Powell after the bell. But so we don't want to leave anything hanging out there. But there's a possibility that this is going to make a move up. And I'll show you on the 65-minute the exact kind of scenarios that we're looking for and the exact levels. So just stick around for a little bit more. But I did want to show you we are deep outside of that Keltner channel, and it's starting to curve down, so that's good for the bearish scenario. But we're going to have to revert to the mean, and I think that we get that higher bounce because we want to come test the moving average. Very similar to any move that comes out of here, comes out of the Keltner channel, reverts to the mean. Out of it, reverts to the mean. Back to that moving average. Okay, so we're looking for the same concept. It doesn't have to exactly touch it. Doesn't have to come directly to it, but at least going back to test higher. So maybe that 440 area would be a nice point, but over the days, couple days that we might have, and we do have a catalyst tomorrow for the PCE, so if it's favorable to the market, I don't care what it is, if it's favorable to the market, then we might get a nice big rally going into going into Monday and Tuesday. Perhaps Tuesday, Monday is a follow through, and Tuesday we get some sort of doji candle. So a lot of the let's see if we can see this one here. It clearly has a catalyst there, but it's very similar. We came breaking underneath the Keltner channel and then spent 1, 2, you had the reversal day, so I'm going to count that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row basically up after the reversal, 4 days after the reversal, but 5 total counting the reversal back into the mean. So it very similar, I think, situation where we're first getting our breakdown and then back up. So I can imagine got our breakdown, really broke down into it, and we're going to snap back to a rip your face off rally. And so we have 2 days knocked out of the way. So maybe we have Friday, Monday, and then some sort of reversal candle for Tuesday. That is one scenario that could play out, and I think that's very possible. And I think that would be something that would really set us up to give us a reversal for the bear side after that, where this is a 1-2 setup, and we move much lower, much faster, and the Keltner channels are already starting to turn lower. And I'm not going to do the moving averages on these two. I want to keep this video around 30 minutes. Okay, so same situation, and I think QQQ is going to take much more of a lead. It's going to stretch out a little bit more. So when this reverts, it doesn't have to revert much further, which in my mind, it seems like this is much more bearish. It hasn't moved as far as SPY. Percentage-wise, yes, but you can see visually that it has not moved as far down as SPY, and that has to do with the small caps kind of pulling on. But I think the Qs are going to take charge of this move like it does all the other moves eventually after this next pullback. So I think we'll pull back here, possibly to retest this area as a 1-2 setup, and then we move much further down. So let's go over to SPY at this point. See if we can find out some more information. We'll go down to the 65-minute, and we'll change the board here. We'll look at this 65-minute traditional technical analysis real quick. Okay, take off the Keltner. We popped out of this wedge. The wedge was really tight, and we're still within a channel, but we're kind of rejecting off that box I was talking about. That's our conservative wave 4 box, and I'll show you on the other Elliott wave. But I think this is we came to the box. I think we might have a little bit of a pullback. I mean, we might not. This might just whip us back, but I think we might have a little bit of a pullback overnight, perhaps with a PCE, and then we start to rally. But if it's anything like the scenario I just showed you, there wasn't much of a pullback. The pullback was wave 2, just kind of fluttering around, and then it just virtually 5 days straight up. So we could continue that move. We break out of this channel though, and I think that says a lot, and we start moving higher. I don't think it's going to stop us here, but we want to be cautious at each of these levels, especially the top of this box, because that could mean that this is a wave 4 and we continue just a little bit lower. Now we're at such a major support area that I doubt that we have the wave 4 and we're going to, just spike through for a wave 5. But we do have to be cautious of that anyway. All right, so we're within that channel. I just want to show you that. So we'll go to this Elliott wave picture, and that will be it for this video. No, I'll show you the VIX, and then we'll be done. Okay, so this is a conservative move here where we have in the dotted line a 382 retracement and head lower. Now that scenario could still play out, and we could still count this as a 1-2. It'd just be shallow. There's no rule against that. It's just typically it goes a little bit further. But according to the tech stocks have to move a little bit more. And that's going to drag this with it. Not just one simple day here, but it seems the tech stocks, if they have 2-3 days, that could easily push us up to minimum to close this gap at the 50% retracement. And possibly even a little bit further to the 441 area for the 62% retracement from this entire move. Now, for this to play out the way that I'm talking about, this means this initial 1-2 setup, and that means this one is another 1-2 setup, and that's very bearish. Okay, what we have right now is a 1-2 on the conservative end. This is a 1-2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we come up for a retracement. But I think this is done because of this surprise move that just kind of ripped us day before yesterday. Yeah, this was a V-shaped reversal here yesterday. That extra move was not in this count. I couldn't count it that way. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, why is it still going down? And when I thought about it, I put this together that this was such a deep retracement, such a big wave 2, that rule of alternation, we have such a little teeny weeny wave 4 there on this degree. And then we finish off this entire move right here. And now we're breaking out from this entire move. And so that leads me to believe, along with those tech stocks that need to move up more, that this is a 1-2, 1-2 setup. Okay, so this could easily, we're going to take some profit at each level, okay? But we get above that 382, then I'm no longer calling that a wave 4. And not a chance. But this could move up to the 437. Each level we're going to take profit. Now we're actually getting near that point on QQQ, but I'm not going to go there. This is the very simple version, 1-2, 1-2, but we want to be cautious in this zone, this turquoise zone, that this is a wave forward and we don't have another move down, but then we'd be breaking the major trend line to the upside. I just don't think that's likely. All right, not yet at least. So I hope all this helps. Please like the video, and we will make another video tomorrow in order to probably intraday, but let's check out that VIX real quick. And this is another thing. If the VIX decides it wants to close this gap, that's going to give us the same type of scenario. The gap's not quite filled here. So if we go to close this gap down here around the 15 area, then the market is having a deeper bounce. All right. That's just something to watch for. Maybe it has a deeper retracement and the market's going to move up higher. Now, I know that TNX, DXY, watch the dollar, watch the rates. Those look like they're about to pull back. That will give us a better position on the market. All right. Anything else? I think that's all. We're in a triangle overnight on ES. I don't know if it's officially a triangle, but we are definitely triangulating triangulating overnight going into GDP. So I'm taking a look at that. And we're kind of breaking from that at this point. So I'm not sure that that's going to be real valid. It's the triangle could come down. It'd be invalid if we get under this point here. But other than that, it's an A, B, C, D, and we're getting E before heading higher. At this point, even if we retrace down to the channel, we're still bullish. All right, thanks for joining us at Option Center. Have a wonderful night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.